big injury news for the Houston Texans, as this player is so crucial to the defense. And if he is not available for the game Saturday versus the Chiefs, the Texans are in big trouble. Welcome to Texans Digest. If you're new here, hit that sub button. We're posting Texans news content all season long. We're in the playoffs. Game coming up versus the Chiefs, and a big thing to talk about is linebacker Christian Harris, who's been dealing with an ankle injury now. He made his debut week 15 this season. This is a guy who's so detrimental to this defense. He is such a big piece, and when you look at it, Harris led the team in tackles last year, over 100. Crucial. But the biggest thing is he didn't play the whole season because of a hamstring injury. Now, he comes back week 15, 82% of snaps, looks like the same player he was, 8 tackles, and then week 17, apparently an ankle injury has been lingering, so that's not good. He didn't play week 18. He was questionable all of last week and only played 7 snaps versus the Chargers, so that is not something you want to see for any player, but limited snaps in practice today. Harris is going to try and see if he can go. And again, this is a guy who can be very crucial in terms of what he can accomplish on the football field. He's a very speedy linebacker who can get tackles off. Honestly, a big part of not only the run game, but he can rush the passer, he can drop back into coverage. He's a great all-around player. So that is not good if he's injured and banged up. And who knows, even if he's available to play, how long is he going to be able to stay on the field? Because last week, I'll pull it up right here, he was not on the field at all. 13% of snaps. It was mainly the 2 linebackers were Henry 202 and Azeez Al-Shaair. So I don't mind that Christian Harris is not on the field. And head coach DeMeco Ryans actually spoke on the matter. And it looks like it's mainly just a getting him back up to speed. He said Christian's doing good. He's missed a lot of football, but he's working his way back slowly but surely. So DeMeco talked about how much of a team player he is. He listens to what they say. And, of course, Christian Harris is going to be supportive of the fact. But I'm kind of surprised that there's only 2 linebackers going in for the Texans. You have 2 main guys in Shire and the other guy is Neville Hewitt, but it's Shire and 202 who have been great. Both Alabama linebackers, Harris and 202. But when you look at this defense, Harris needs to be on the field, and I would argue that he should definitely be the 3rd linebacker. But it looks like they're having more of a nickel front with 3 cornerbacks, 3 DBs. So it's definitely a different formation, which is another reason why Harris is not getting a lot of playing time. But I think if you rotate him in and out, it's a big piece. Remember, Azeez Al-Shaair, captain, was suspended for weeks 15 through 17 when that was mainly the timeline where Christian Harris was coming back and getting up to speed. Now you have to question, okay, is this ankle kicking in? What is the actual issue with Christian Harris? So he even mentioned it sucks being injured. I could imagine. He didn't play the whole season. So when you look at what the Texans have accomplished this season, to have a pretty stud linebacker in my eyes, the guy's all over the field, I think he needs to be out there. And honestly, to have a 4-3 would make more sense as a defense, because you look at 3-4 linebackers need to be on the field if you're playing the Chiefs, especially if you're going to guard guys like Travis Kelce. You got Xavier Worthy. I don't know if anybody can cover that speed, but we're going to try. Stingley could be on it. You got Hollywood Brown back from injury. Juju Smith-Schuster. The whole Chiefs offense works its way in. Justin Watson, Noah Gray. They have a bunch of studs. And to have Christian Harris out there with Shire and 202, because I don't think any of those guys should come off the field with how talented they are. But with the injury now, with this ankle that we don't really know too much of a detail on, it's not sprained, it's not, okay, it's just he's limited with an ankle. So that scares me as a fan coming into this game, because you're like, we need Christian Harris out there because he's a speedy linebacker. He can stop the run. He can blitz off the edge for getting to Mahomes. Like, Harris can do a lot for the Texans. So I think that can open up the defense. And to touch on the fact that how great this defense was last week without him, I didn't even notice that he wasn't on the field as much as he was. I definitely saw him on a couple snaps, but to only play 7 is pretty wild. So I know Shire came back, and when he came out earlier in the game, he worked back in Harris. But the biggest question I have is, what are they going to do defensively now, especially if Harris can't go? So it's definitely a lot to consider on how do you open up that defensive front. You have a great D-line, Daniil Hunter, Will Anderson off the edge, and a couple good guys for depth at the edge defensive end position. Derek Barnett, Jerry Hughes has been battling injury. Mario Edwards has done a splendid job. DeMeco Autry on the nose tackle with Lorenzo Fatukasi. So a lot to look forward to from the Texans defense, but I'm looking at what I'm reading, and the fact that Christian Harris didn't play is really surprising for me, because this is a player who is a lot to this team. Joe Mixon talks so highly of Harris, and when he played them last year, he was like, I didn't even know this Harris dude was on the team, and then I had to look in the film, so it was just crazy to me that this injury is playing a bigger impact than it is, and I like what the Texans are doing here, working him back in, especially with how splendid the defense was last week. It almost looked like they didn't even need him. But for a Chiefs defense, you're gonna need to be on all cylinders. You need to be ready to go. And Harris, I don't even care if he doesn't practice all week. Get him a little bit going. And that's the thing. He hasn't played a lot of football. He sat out week 18. You get him ramped up. 7 snaps seems a little low, but you got to get him ramped up. And I like the idea with what DeMeco said. Get his feet wet slowly but surely. I definitely didn't expect him to play less than 40% of snaps, but it looked like the Texans were just going with a 2-linebacker look, which is a little bit rare. It's been kind of a 3-linebacker set. You've seen Neville Hewitt, a bunch of other guys come in. So it's definitely something I'm not necessarily used to. You saw Devin White most of the Week 18 game, but most of the time there is at least 3 linebackers with over 50% of snaps. Even Week 17, 202, 83%, 46% for Hewitt, 70 for Harris. There's a lot of linebackers that sub in and out. And for the game Saturday against the Chargers, there were only 4 linebackers that got playing time, which is very shocking to me. So I don't know if it's a matter of changing up the defense for the Chargers game specifically, or if they just wanted to have more of DBs on the field. It was definitely an interesting shock for me. I would assume the injury bug has something to affect here with Harris, but you definitely want to see more of Harris and how dominant he is on the field. When he's on the field, it's huge. So this is a guy that needs to be back, and it's so detrimental to the team, but his presence on the line, I think with Shire and him, they could both communicate and Shire can be the mic and Harris can talk. So I think it would just flow a lot better, and to have more linebackers on the field to kind of try and disguise a little bit more zone coverage to kind of force Mahomes to push the ball into places he doesn't want to. That will be the goal for Sunday in terms of how to rattle Mahomes' kind of offensive play style. Remember, the Chiefs haven't played in 3 weeks of football, so that is another plus for the Texans defense. You got to go after him early, send some pressure, have some guys drop back into coverage, just change up the look. And I've been saying it all video, but Christian Harris is a guy who I personally would rather out there as the captain. No offense to Azeez Al-Shaair, but Christian Harris is all over the field. I remember his rookie year. I mean, the guy is quick, he's speedy, and he could get in the backfield in a snap. So definitely a threat on defense for the Texans, and we need him back as soon as possible. And if he doesn't play, I could very well see the Chiefs having a more successful run game. And that's the thing. Like last week against the Chargers, I saw Azeez Al-Shaair drop back multiple times in the coverage, and I was concerned with how, like, the play action that was run. It was like almost like he wasn't paying attention to the pass. So it was I don't know how to explain it, but there was a couple of dropbacks where I was just like, I don't like the way he played that. So Shire can be in the middle. You have 202 on the right or Harris on the left. Like, there should be 3 linebackers out there at all times, and the secondary showed up last week, and I'm more worried about the offense, and we're going to get to a preview in tomorrow's video, but still a lot to come for the Texans. I do believe it's going to be a close one, maybe a 3-point game, but we'll see what the Texans are able to pull out this Saturday versus the Chiefs at 4:30 Eastern Time Let me know you guys' thoughts on Christian Harris. Is the injury something you're worried about? This is something that I think is crucial for the Texans' game plan this Saturday versus the Chiefs. And you got to be able to go with or without him. So got to get the status on Harris. If he's ready to go, get him out there. If he's not healthy, do not force him to play because we do not need to be down more men than we already are. So thank you, everyone, for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Get a preview video up for the Chiefs, and we'll catch you in the next video.